Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome everyone on this auspicious day of Akshaya Tritiya, which is, there is no need to look for a Muhurta. Every moment is glorious. And any effort that we do, especially in devotional service, it grows and grows. So again, today we are sharing some amazing verses in the Gems from Srimadbhagavatam session here. Thank you all for joining us today. So let's start with the Guru Pranati. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. Hare Krishna. Let me magnify this a bit so it becomes easier. So again, there are two verses. And this is very much true in our life as how we are living, and so much information is coming our way, and how we are being a swans. We have to unravel. Means again, we have to develop that swan-like mentality and swan-like character within ourselves and not be like crows. As we see in mundane world, people are constantly going through so many distractions in the form of news and social media and so forth. So please join us in the invocation prayers and we can learn how to be a swan. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiriyet. Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha Hridayantastho Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhatsatam Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join me in the recitation of the two verses, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, verse 10. Na yad vachas chitra padam harer yasho jagat pavitram praganita karhichit tadvaya samtitham mushanti manasa nayatra hamsa nirmantya shikshaya. Na, not. Yat, that. Vachaha, vocabulary. Chitrapadam, decorative. Hare, of the Lord. Yashaha, glories. Jagat, universe. Pavitram, sanctified. Pragranita, described. Karhichit, hardly. Tat, that. Vaisam, crows. Tirtham, place of pilgrimage. Ushanti, think. Manasaha, saintly persons. Na, not. Yatra, where. Hamsaha, all perfect beings. Nirmanti, take pleasure. Ushikshayaha, those who reside in the transcendental abode. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all-perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. Purport. Devi, would you like to read purport?
I was thinking, Prabhuji, do we want to read the entire purport because it's kind of big purport? Do we have time for that?
It's your call.
Okay. No, how many verses are we doing today?
We are covering 2 verses,
Okay.
but covering purport only of the first verse. If you are speaking, you're maybe on mute.
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted.
Hare Krishna.
All right. So, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Crows and swans are not the birds of the same feather. Because of their different mental attitudes, the fruity workers or passionate men are compared to the crows, whereas the all perfect saintly persons are compared to the swans. The crows take pleasure in a place where garbage is thrown out, just as the passionate fruity workers take pleasure in wine and women and places for gross sense pleasure. The swans do not take pleasure in the places where crows are assembled for conference and meetings. They are instead seen in an atmosphere of natural scenic beauty where there are transparent reservoirs of water nicely decorated with stems of lotus flowers in variegated colors of natural beauty. That is the difference between the two classes of birds. Nature has influenced different species of life with different mentalities, and it is not possible to bring them up into the same rank and file. Similarly, there are different kinds of literatures for different types of men of different mentality. Mostly the market literatures which attract men of crows categories are literatures containing refused remnants of sensuous topics. They are generally known as mundane talks in relation with gross body and subtle mind. They are full of subject matter described in decorative language, full of mundane similes and metaphorical arrangements. Yet, with all that, they do not glorify the Lord. Such poetry and prose on any subject matter is considered decoration of a dead body. Spiritually advanced men who are compared to the swans do not take pleasure in such dead literatures, which are sources of pleasure for men who are spiritually dead. These literatures in the modes of passion and ignorance are distributed under different labels, but they can hardly help the spiritual urge of the human being, and thus the swan like spiritually advanced men have nothing to do with them. Such spiritually advanced men are called manasa, also because they always keep up the standard of transcendental voluntary service to the Lord on the spiritual plane. This completely forbids fruitive activities for gross bodily sense gratification or subtle speculation of material egoistic mind. Social literary men, scientists, mundane poets, theoretical philosophers, and politicians who are completely absorbed in the material advancement of sense pleasure are all dolls of the material energy. They take pleasure in a place where rejected subject matters are thrown. According to Swami Sridhar, this is the pleasure of the prostitute hunters. But literatures which describe the glories of the Lord are enjoyed by the Paramhamsas who have grasped the essence of human activities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'll quickly cover the next verse and its translation. Srimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, verse 11. Tadvad visargo janatag viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abhaddhavatyapi namani anantasya yasho ankitani yashravanti gayanti grahanti sadhavaha. On the other hand, that literature, which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Hare Krishna. Please join us for Guru Pranati as well as seeking blessings from the Acharyas. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nite Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadaham Vande Shri Gurum Dina Tarinam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. First of all, I do want to express my gratitude for everyone who has joined. And today, in these two verses from fifth canto, or fifth chapter of the first canto, we are hearing about how can we be a swan? How can we, unravel the swan within ourselves and soar above the noise and drink only nectar? So the world, it's filled with noise. We know different kind of noises, they come our way. Some are sweet, but most are sour. Most are just causing our senses to become agitated. And we as spiritual seekers, how do you know what is to absorb? We need to learn how to discriminate what is right and what is wrong. And Srila Narad Muni, he's teaching Srila Vyasdev that speech, not glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is like a garbage heap that attracts crows, not swans. And why swans are so important? So again, swans are, yes, referred to the birds as well, and also referring to the human beings in the Satya Yuga, which is Kriteta Dhyayate Vishnu. So in the Satya Yuga, which is also referred to as Krita Yuga, people could do meditation, austerities for thousands of years. And those were referred to, everyone was from birth swan, but then they would sometimes become bewildered like Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh. And they would fall from that position and could become demons. Yet at the same time, in Krita age, everyone was swan, and some people advanced and became greater swans, generally known as Paramhamsas. I'm sure you must have heard the word Paramhamsas, right? So it is the divine speech, even if it is imperfect. Abadhavatyapi, as the second verse says. Namani anantasya yasho ankitani Shravanti Gayanti Grahanti Sadhava. So even if every Pati Shlokam Avadhavatyapi, even though every single phrase within the verse is defective, it may have grammatical defect, it may have some inappropriate analogies and so forth, yet the people, men who are honest, so men, in this case men and women, it's referring to the receiver, the audience, would accept it and hear it, sing it. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further accepts Grahanti. He's saying, yes, accepting it. But when we have too much of sweet things, and if we have the swan-like nature, then we share it with everyone. So that sharing is part of that Grahanti. So we don't just take it ourselves, but we also share it with others. As I would like to share with all of you this amazing lessons from these two verses. So it's very important for us to concentrate on these verses, try to understand. And acharyas reveal that when we are doing chanting, we should do chanting very, very fast because we are running out of time. Every moment should be filled with, the Lord's glories and His holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. However, when we are reading scriptures, we should think there is all the time in the world, and so we have to dive deeper, go into every single aspect. Yattadvachas chitrapadam hare yasho jagat pavitam praganita karhichit tadvaya samtitham shanti manasa nayatra hamsa nirmantya shikshayah. Nayadvachas, those words, now those words could be spoken words, those words could be heard words, those words could be written words. There are various ways. Those words could be the ones we are meditating on. Those words could be expressed through our actions. Action speaks louder than words. So when the word vachas comes, we have to understand from different aspects. Even all 9 processes of devotional service have that vachas embedded in them, but they should be decorated. But those words who are not decorated, na yad vachas, so those words who are not decorated, Padam means like, stepwise. So have you taken this a step in the right direction? So which is the step of decorating your words with Hare Yashu, with the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And these glories, they can purify the entire universe, not just the material, but also the spiritual universe. But those words do not glorify. Nayad vachas, chitrapadam hare yashu. Those words that do not glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what are they like? Tadvaya samtirtham, ushanti manasa. Manasa is, sometimes people say manas, manish, but manasa refers to here is munis, who are self-realized beings who understand the greater good of humanity. So what do they think? Ushanti refers to what do they think of such words? They are the place of pilgrimage for the crows. Crows gather at all kind of garbage and abominable places. Nayatra Hamsa, and the Hamsas, the saintly souls, the transcendental beings who are Ushikshaya, Nirmanti Ushikshaya, who resides in the transcendental abode. So they are above the 3 modes of material nature. Always on that platform, they do not seek any pleasure in such places, in such words. We have to understand from that perspective. Now, when we hear, we have to look at it, what are we doing today? Today, we are drowning ourselves in so much information, but this information is starved for wisdom. There is no wisdom. Words flood our ears, news, social media, gossip, advertisements, all kind of happenings at work, in the market, everything that's going on, in the world, maybe on the other side of the world. People are very interested. It's very interesting that people are interested in news so much that they want to know news about what's happening on the other part of the world. And they are perfect advisors. They're ready to advise how a leader should be behaving. That's an interesting aspect. But is it of any value? No, because they have no capability to reach out to those leaders. Rather, they are just satisfying their heart, because this is what happens. Ajjal gagri chalkat jai. When a container is half filled, it has the tendency of creating a lot of splashes when moved. Srila Prabhupada, in this regard, when he was walking in Los Angeles, and he pointed towards Pacific, he said, look, Pacific is so calm. So the disciples who were walking with him, they said, yes, Srila Prabhupada, Pacific Ocean. Pacific Ocean in Hindi is referred to as Prashant Mahasagar. Shant is, quiet. Prashant is very quiet, very stable. Mahasagar, ocean. And Srila Prabhupada said, but if you go close to it, what will it do? It will pull you in because of the currents it has running. But why is it so calm on the surface? So they were giving different kind of answers. Maybe the wind is not flowing as much. Maybe the day is very nice. It looks calm that way. Srila Prabhupada said, no, it is calm because it is deep. So we have to develop depth in our thoughts to be able to understand what is right and what is wrong. So sometimes people look at the word discrimination as a negative word. But in reality, we have to seek discrimination to make proper use of our time. Where are we spending our time? Time is a commodity that we all have very limited. And on top of that, how is time defined in our life? The number of breaths. We talked about this in the last class. So when we are born, we have, number of breaths defined. We have the amount of pleasure and the amount of distress coming because of our past karmas. And then we further create some karmas in this life. However, if we want to experience transcendental bliss, we have to stop the karma cycle and take to devotional service. And that is the way we are going to look at how, let's explore how to be a swan and not a crow. So that's what we are going to look for. And today I have a simple acronym for all of you. And the acronym is SWAN, SWAN. So S is referring to speak the glories of the Lord, of Krishna. So again, speaking the glories of Krishna means his name, form, activities, pastimes. And in Bhagavad Gita, the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, the second verse, Lord Krishna is revealing, Macchitta madgat prana bodhayanta paraspam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. In essence, Lord Krishna is revealing to Arjuna that my devotees, they delight in speaking about me, my name, form, activities, pastimes, and they derive great pleasure, bliss when they are engaged in these activities, in glorification of my name, form, activities, pastimes. Now, in this particular session, we also covered the second verse, the 11th verse of 5th chapter, 1st canto. Yasmin prati shlokam abaddavatyapi namani anantasya yasho ankitani yat. Shravanti gayanti grahanti sadhva. So, even imperfect speech that glorifies the Lord becomes sacred. Now, we have seen imperfect speech in our life, right? When they're small babies, they are making what kind of sound, whatever sound they are making, sometimes to the pleasure, prayers, it is very pleasure to hear. The child may not be making nice sound that would make much sense, but just because the child seems to be calling out to the parents, calling out to their attention, parents like it. So similarly, when we as children call out to the Lord, and our words can never match the glories of the Lord, what capabilities do we have? But because we want to glorify the Lord, it attracts the Lord. That is the sweet, because Lord is Bhav Grahi Janadana. Now somebody can say, oh, yes, we can do this, but what are some of the practical techniques that we can do? Well, some practical applications we can always think about is, every day when we get up, we should chant the glories of the Lord. But in this regard, I would also like to share a beautiful lesson from a small short story. So once there was this boy, he walked miles and miles to go to an ashram, and he went to the ashram to meet the sage, and he said, Maharshi, please accept me as your disciple. So Maharshi said, why do you think I should accept you as my disciple? He said, because I'm very obedient. I would take good care of you and I want to learn Vedas. So the sage, understanding that this child has true desire to learn Vedas, he wanted to make sure that the child understands the purpose of Vedas. So he said, why do you want to learn Vedas? He said, because Vedas, which means knowledge, is something that can help reveal the greater things which are for greater good for humanity, and I want to contribute to humanity. So he said, yes, very nice. Why don't you join? So he accepted as a student in his ashram, and the boy would, all day learn, and then in the evening walk back home every morning. Early morning he would come every day. And in this way, the years passed, and finally all the students in this batch, they graduated. Now there's this final test. And the sage said, all of you have to give this test. So you would go under the tree, and he assigns everyone a tree one at a time. He says, as many falls you would do, so many leaves will fall from the tree. Everyone understands, yes, we understand this, because this is by the potency of our, spiritual master. He has made an arrangement that the leaves will identify how many faults have been committed. So this student gets this chance, this village boy, and he is asked to go and stand under the tree. And this boy is really standing under the tree and is carrying out, preparing to speak. And as he's speaking, he's carrying out his prayers before he speaks. And what happens, even before he has spoken a single word, all the leaves of the tree fell. Everyone is shocked. This is the first student who has not even started, and every leaf of that tree fell. What happened here? Everyone's wondering, what happened? So now the sage asked this student to please come and share what was he doing. So the student said, my dear spiritual master, I was doing exactly like you said. I was doing Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. I was saying Narayan Namaskritya. I was saying Shavatam Sukata Krishna. I was singing, Nashta Prayasha Badrisha. I was doing exactly as you told me. And then before I could even start, I saw all the leaf fell. I don't understand why. The sage said, there was only one fault. You forgot about your Guru. Guru Govind dono khade kake lagu paye, balihari Guru apanu Govindiyo milaye. So first thing that we should do before starting any prayers is seek blessings from our spiritual master, the teachers in the lineage. So again, bona fide spiritual masters. So this is very important. So when we engage in Krishna Katha, we should seek blessings from senior Vaishnavas, from the spiritual masters, from the Shotagam. We should be very grateful that they have lent their ears to hear the glories of the Lord. And thus there will be a great revolution in their lives. And any impiety that we have in our lives, that will be washed away. But because this student forgot to do that, because of that simple, small mistake, he lost before he even started. So again, this is a very important lesson, that just because we are looking to become Hamsas, which are, birds of same feathers as other Hamsas, we should not forget about the Paramhamsas. So it is very important that when we begin our day, we should begin our day with Guru Pranati. We begin our day with, various prayers, thanking the Lord that He has given me another opportunity, another day to be in service, to be His instrument in glorifying Him and, of course, in sharing Him. So again, Grahanti doesn't just mean accept it and just keep hold and no, it has to be shared with others. And every day we should take out some time. And it is said that when we are accepting prasadam, at that time we should not discuss work matters or what did I do today or how did somebody, cross me on the road, was honking or this and that. Those kind of matters should not be discussed. Rather, we should be glorifying that how wonderful Krishna is. So Krishna Katha in homes and workplaces is highly encouraged. Myself and Devi, when we were going to our work and we were working at the same place, the afternoon times we were doing, Gita Club. So Bhagavad Gita Club is where we were inviting our colleagues and we were discussing Bhagavad Gita and the lessons from Bhagavad Gita and how can implement those lessons in our very life. And everyone said, after we moved to another assignment, that ever since you guys left, our lunches are not same melodious and all that. It is filled with so much noise. And that is important, that we have to cut off the noise. So if we had a switch of noise cancellation, like some of the audio systems, they have noise cancellation. So we should develop this capability of noise cancellation. And even if we read a verse, if we have a capability, then we should memorize a verse. If we cannot memorize, at least recite a verse, read a verse. And even if we don't read a whole verse, even if we read half the verse, even if we read 1/4 of the verse, it will have a great impact on our life, because this reading is not just looking at the words and calling them out as it is, but diving deeper. What do they mean? Just like the very first verse, Nayad Vachas Chitra Padam Hare Yasho. So those words that do not glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then of course, what are those words are like? That would come in our mind. Because those words are actually Jagat Pavitram Parinita Karhichit. They can purify the entire universe. But Tadvaya Santitam Ushanti Manasa. The Munis think of those words as places of pilgrimage for the crows. Nayatra Hamsa Nirmanta Shikshaya. And the Hamsas who live in the transcendental realm, they do not derive any pleasure. So again, Hamsas have these special qualities. Swans have this quality is that when you mix water and milk together, Swan can drink the milk and leave the water behind. That's a special quality of swan. And in this regard, I'm reminded of a very beautiful incident that happened in life. So sometimes in school, we have competitions, we have prose competitions, poetry competitions. And so boys and girls in a school, they were looking at, picking up different subject matters. And here, a boy, he decided that he would to recite one shloka from Bhagavad Gita in his school competition, as part of his 5-minute prose section that he's presenting. And what did he do? He just picked up Bhagavad Gita 2:13. Dehino asmin yata dehe kaumaram yavanam chara dada dehantar prapti dhiras tatra namuhyati. So this body is going through various transformations. And one who is stable person, one who is in knowledge, does not get bewildered once we leave this body because we accept another body. Now, even though the students who were listening to him, they were, laughing that this student just picked up a simple topic from Bhagavad Gita. Who needs to read Bhagavad Gita? That's what they were thinking. But in the crowd, there was a very important person sitting, who was a CEO of a company, and he really liked hearing this because as he was aging, he realized that this boy has actually given him a message that after this body, if he passes on, he doesn't have to become bewildered. And that is the nature of life. In this material world, the material body stays here. We continue our journey forward. So much so that this CEO, who also, became devotee because of that single verse, he had some revelation. There was a revelation instantly happening. Sometimes, we find revelation happening unexpectedly at places where we are not expecting them. That's what is called accident, but these are spiritual accidents. And so, as a reflection, even though this boy who recited this Bhagavad Gita verse did not win the competition, the CEO sponsored his education beyond school to the college and further. And this child who recited this verse became a preacher. So this is his life changed by one verse. That's not just his life, but also the life of the CEO changed by one verse and transformed both of them. So that's a win-win scenario. So what does S stand for? S stands for speak the glories of the Lord. Now, what does W stand for? So sometimes, we have the yam that you do this, don't do this, and then niyam is what you do. So swan refers to speak, refers to speak the glories of Lord Krishna. And W is not to do, which is withdraw from wasteful talk, withdraw from wasteful absorption of words coming our way, withdraw from wasteful things that are happening around us. So we should learn to discriminate. Right? Because what are these words that do not glorify the Lord? These wasteful talks are described as tadvayasam titham ushanti manasa. Tadvayasam titham, they are places of pilgrimage for the crows. So, wasteful walk is gathering ground for crows. Crows, not saintly swans, not for transcendental beings. And we living entities are transcendental beings. We are not this body. Jivera Surupaya Krishnera Nityadas, we are eternal servant of Lord Krishna. So we want to immerse our life in Bhagavad Gita, Srimadbhagavatam. These are the literatures we want to read. This is where we are constantly, filling ourselves with the nectar. And it's very interesting that the mundane things, how do you differentiate wasteful talk? Because wasteful talk is like news that becomes not news anymore the next day. It changes every day. So it's not new anymore. It only, refers to that given time in factor. And in Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna is revealing that anudvega karam vakyam, that what should be our speech like? Our speech should be truthful, beneficial, and scripture based. So that's also a very important example. Now, this refers, sometimes we learn from our leaders. And it's very interesting that sometimes people think of Bhagavad Gita as a Hindu literature. But we are eternal beings. And when Lord Krishna was speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, there is no way he said that this is for, only for Hindus. The word Hindu didn't exist at that time. So sometimes people ask, is there a modern example? Yes. So how do we make that discrimination? How do we, avoid that wasteful talk? We should withdraw from the wasteful talk. How do we do that? So yes, Abdul Kalam Azad. So again, he actually avoided idle conversation and instead inspired millions by his humble, valuable, and rich words. So he once said something very important. How do you learn to discriminate? Three-step process. Before you speak, ask yourself, is it true? What am I going to speak? Is it true? Is there a definite basis that this is true? Then once you have determined, yes, it is true, then ask second question. Is it necessary for me to speak? Is this something that I must speak and, this is relevant to the topic at hand? And if you say yes to this one, will it benefit others? And we already understood that we don't want to talk about things that are not related to the glorification of Lord Krishna. So if it doesn't benefit others, there is no need to speak. But if it does benefit others, then we must speak. How do we practice it on our daily life? Well, we can, take to the chanting of the holy name. The first thing the devotees do is after they wake up, they, pray to the spiritual master, pray to the Supreme Lord, pray to the Parampara systems and the Vaishnavas, and then after getting ready for the day, the first activity they do is take to the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now, some other techniques that I sometimes tell some newcomers is, every day you should look at what is that app on your phone that's just time wasting app, or this app that you don't use it. You can just uninstall that app and install a spiritual, content based app like, GCal, Gaudiya calendar, and so forth. So again, there are Bhagavad Gita apps and so forth. So you can just install those kind of apps and try to install an app you have not touched for a month. There's so many apps on our phones that are just useless. We are collecting places of pilgrimage for the crows right here on our phone. So we should be careful. This is what we want to collect in our life. And also, we should practice japa journaling. What is it? Because every day when we do japa, what is the blessing that we have experienced throughout the day? Back in school, we used to have astajal. At the sunset time, we would reflect back on what happened during the day. And what are some of the lessons we learned? What are some of the blessings we received? This is very interesting that we were told there are only two things happening. Either you are learning or you are feeling grateful for all the blessings that you're receiving. In reality, any success that we get is because of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. And if there is any failure, so-called, that people call it, is actually a moment to reflect upon and take lessons from. A winner never learns a lesson. It is always the one who loses learns the lesson. A winner is always thinking, oh, I have done everything perfectly. So remember, S is for speak the glories of Lord Krishna. W is for withdraw from wasteful talk. Now comes A, absorb in divine sound. So yam, niyam, and then comes our daily practice. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. So Sravanam, we have to, and Kirtanam. So we have to absorb ourselves in divine sound. And when we do the invocation prayers, we also do this. Shravtam Svakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Hridayantasto He Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhasatam. So all kind of abhadras, abhadrani, all kind of unwanted things, all kind of noises, they are eliminating from our heart because we are fully immersing ourselves in Krishna Katha, in the glories of Lord Krishna. So hearing about Krishna cleanses the heart of all misgivings. Very simple. And sometimes people say, I want to be a great yogi, but who is the great yogi? In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna reveals this. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantara atmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo mataha. It is his opinion that those who are engaged in his bhajan, bhajan is more close to devotional service than just worship. Worship is one of the aspect, archana is one of the 9 processes of devotional service, but devotional service is, reflected as bhajan. The closest meaning in Hindi is bhajan. Bhajte yo mam. So those who engage in the devotional service of Lord Krishna, they are the greatest yogis. Now, some of the techniques that we can take is, we can take to play kirtan or Bhagavatam lectures while commuting or cooking. So this is very simple, very easy. You have your phone, you have your TV, you have various ways which generate lots of sound. Why not, hear the glories of Lord Krishna? And hear the lectures, hear the kirtan, and fully immerse ourselves, observe, ourselves completely in the divine sound. And of course, the Mahamantra is always there. Even if none of these facilities are there, we can always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now, in this regard, there is a true incident. So there's a taxi driver, he was playing Hare Krishna Kirtan in his car. Now, passengers, when they would come, they really felt very peaceful and very serene and tranquility. They were experiencing great bliss when they were in his car. So much so that some of them would start singing along with the songs, the kirtan, because it's very easy. Sometimes when you go for Rath Yatra in New York, Rath Yatra, the same, the police, one specific station, they are the ones who are providing coverage for this New York Rath Yatra on the 5th Avenue. And one of the policemen says, don't you have any other song? Because you're always thinking, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yes, it is the same Mahamantra, but we have millions of melodies. So the variegatedness is there, yet the originality is also there. So sometimes we laugh when we hear these kind of statements from others. So when people hear Kirtan, it's very nice to them. When George Harrison sang Hare Krishna Mahamantra along with the devotees, that was in 70s. At that time, it stayed on the chart for 7 weeks as number 1. And Hare Krishna became a household name. Now it's everywhere around the world. People know about Hare Krishna because of the propagation of the effort of Srila Prabhupada and his wonderful disciples like my Guru Maharaj. So again, sometimes people say, yes, Srila Prabhupada was a Paramahamsa. But how did we become Paramahamsa? Because we have to follow in the footsteps of Acharyas. Mahajano yena gatha pantha. So when I look at my spiritual master, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he is a Paramahamsa because he took shelter of, to follow the instruction of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupadasya sahityam vitiryacha. So his mantra is, my Guru mantra, here it is said that he is distributing the literature of Srila Prabhupada. And what is the literature content of Srila Prabhupada? Glorification of Lord Krishna and devotees. So because when we glorify Krishna, devotees become happy, and when we glorify devotees, Krishna becomes happy. Shishi Radha Krishna blesses. So his life is a perfect example of a Paramahamsa, as how he led his life. And when on the last day, when he was injured, devotees asked him that, Guru Maharaj, you are doing so amazing things. He was very humble. He was saying, I'm just trying to please Srila Prabhupada. That's what we are. We are just an instrument in the hand of Krishna and seeking to please our predecessors, our spiritual masters. That is the only qualification and only eagerness that we have to show. but put all our energy in pleasing our spiritual master. Right? So again, this taxi driver was a devotee. He was playing Hare Krishna Kirtan. The passengers were sometimes, sing along with the Kirtan, finding it very interesting. And one man, he started chanting. He was on a long ride and he became a devotee because of this. He inquired further about it. And he brought his family to Bhakti, realizing that, every town and state around the world, you can see, Hare Krishnas. So again, he went to a center, took his family to the center. Everybody loved it. And why was this there? Because of all due to the hearing of divine sound in a taxi drive. So these are also very important. So we have to absorb in divine sound. SWA, and finally N comes in, nourish others with Krsna Katha. So yes, when we have immersed ourselves, we have to share it with others. That's important. Nacha tasma manusyesu kaschin me priya krittamaha. Lord Krishna is revealing in Bhagavad Gita that there is no one more dear to me than the one who shares my teachings. This conversation of ours, Arjuna is referring. So again, that's also very important. Shravanti gayanti grihanti sadhavaha. That pure-hearted people, people who are honest at heart, they hear, sing, and share these divine glories. Accepting is not just hoarding, it's about sharing. That is the important aspect. Which reminds me, sometimes people are very agnostic towards spiritual practices. Sometimes they think, oh, what is this they're talking about? They can't see it, they can't feel it. Well, you can't see air, but you believe that there is air and you're breathing air. So again, there's so many things in our life we don't see, but we perceive them through our experiences. And in this case, there was this engineer, he joined the atomic center in India, and he was day one, he went over there, he got admitted and the space program, and he was, wondering like what's going on in this place. He wanted to go out and talk with people, and he's walking on the beach. And at the beach, he suddenly sees that there's a old man sitting, on the sand very simply. And so he goes there in the mood to talk. But then he pays attention that this person, he's reading Bhagavad Gita. He's saying that this old man is reading Bhagavad Gita. And so when someone is reading something, then it's very hard to start this conversation. So he says, you know what? Why are you reading Bhagavad Gita? This is, 5,000 old literature. It has no value today. This Bhagavad Gita, it's useless. This is on a battlefield. Somebody was talking. That was 5,000 years back. Why are you reading Bhagavad Gita? You should take to science. See, I'm a scientist and I have, joined the space program, and it's amazing. We should look everything from the eyes of a scientist. So the old man, he simply smiled and he continued his reading. And then he's like, it's amazing. Means, sometimes these old people means, why do you just read? And why do you just waste your time in this way? So the old man was still smiling, and he's, quietly just continuing to read. And soon he saw that a car came, like really with blaring blue lamp on top. And, one of the nicely suited in safari suit of gentleman came running to this man and he said, sir, we are ready to go, please come. So he was a bit surprised. This person seems to be important. He was thinking this is just some old, retired man sitting over here on the beach, looking at the waves and just wasting his time by reading Bhagavad Gita. So he was like, this is interesting. So as the old man got up to walk, he said, by the way, my name is Ajay. What's your name? So the old man, he looked at him very simply and said, I am Vikram Sarabhai. So this is Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, right? And Ajay was now surprised that this guy is literally the space program originator, like the founder, father of India's space program. So he's shocked. First shock is that the person he was thinking, just an old man reading Bhagavad Gita, is father of India's space program. And then the second question is, as Dr. Vikram Sarabhai was walking away, he said, I have a question. So Dr. Sarabhai stopped. He looked back. He said, what is it? He said, why are you reading Bhagavad Gita? So at that time, the old man took a few paces back, tapped on his shoulder. He said, I read it because it gives me greatest pleasure in the toughest days of my life. So he would read Bhagavad Gita every day. His spiritual grounding helped him remain humble amidst great achievements. Many things will come our way, but how humble. So we have to understand that third verse from Shishishtastakam. Taradapi sunicheda tarorapi saishnuna manina manadena kirtaniya sadahri. So we have to become more humble than the grass on the street, more tolerant than the tree. Amanina, not expecting any respect for others. Manadena, but still be ready to give respect to others. Kirtaniya Sadahari. And we should always engage in the glorification of Lord Krishna. That's the foundation. It is by the glorification of Lord Krishna we can develop these four amazing qualities. It's not the other way around. Sometimes people, they come to devotional service with the thinking that, hey, I will just do a nice show of all the things. I am a graduate, and I'm such a great person, I'm such a learned person. I will show my mastery, and then I will become their leader, and I will make everyone humble. I will make them tolerate all my nonsense habits. I will take away all their pride by disrespecting them, and I will gain all the respects. They are doing just the opposite mantra. It's amazing. Means, where do you get that idea? Rather we have to understand Kirtaniya Sadahari. When we engage in Lord Krishna's Kirtan, then we understand that there is a greater power beyond our capability, and we have to bow down to that power. And by bowing down to the Supreme Father, Father becomes happy and gives us the abilities so that we can truly become humble, truly become tolerant, to truly not look for glorification, but ready to give all glorifications to others. So we should share, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam verse weekly at least, if not daily, with friends. Discuss about it, what did we learn in our life through this verse. Or if we cannot do, Shastra Dan is an amazing thing to do on Akshaya Tritiya. So gift spiritual books instead of birthday cards or giving out, spreading out chocolates and other kind of things. Spiritual books is the greatest charity that we can perform. And if you have a nice home, start a weekly home satsang, even if it's just with your family. When the kids were small, now they have grown up, they are professionals, they have gone out of the house. But every day we would sit and read one chapter from Bhagavad Gita. So those kind of practices we have to do every day. And it still means every morning, every evening, we do kirtan, we do, again, puja, Vigri, arti, and so forth. So we engage in those activities. So we have to be able to understand that there is spiritual literature and then there is mundane literature, which is filling whole of cyberspace. So if we take to spiritual literature, it will instill great qualities. The qualities of demigods they appear in the body of a devotee. It's directly a verse from Srimadbhagavatam. So I want to bring to you a contrast that one student, he would spend 5 hours daily on novels, Netflix, social media, while another student just spent 1 hour reading Bhagavad Gita. Now, after a year, when they were both looking at their lives, one was constantly in anxiety, moved by different things that are having externally, while the second one understood, I'm not this body, had more clarity, better conviction, and joy. So we have to choose. What goes around comes around. What we choose, that we get. We cannot, if we are sowing thorns, we cannot expect flowers. We have to understand that we have to work hard on ourselves, then we will see the right fruits. So bhakti tests, they are, not just to inform ourselves or to others, but it is to transform ourselves. Sometimes people, they memorize these verses from Bhagavad Gita, Srimadbhagavatam, and thinking that that will make them famous. No, that is not the point. It is the transformation, the revolution that these literatures cause in our lives that makes us. So what are the takeaways? Live like a swan, reveal the swan within by taking to devotional service and constantly glorifying Lord Krishna through the 9 process of devotional service. S is for speak for Lord's glories. Sanctify our speech, uplift listeners, and share through our actions what we are speaking. W in Swan is for withdraw from wasteful talk. Protect our consciousness from pollution. We don't want to be at places which are places of pilgrimage for the crows, the filthy things, right? And A is for absorb divine sound. We want to absorb our life with divine sound, which cleanses the heart of Abhadrani. Again, all unwanted things are removed. And further, it inspires bhakti. So that's the whole formula. It's a chain reaction that we are triggering. And last but not the least is nourish others with Krishna. The more we share, the more we grow. So it is said that happiness multiplies when you share with others, and the difficulties they divide when we take from others. So again, that's also important. So this nourishment is pleasing the Lord and uplifts the world. And in conclusion, I would like to share Bhagavad Gita, the 70th verse of 18th chapter. Adeshyate cha imam dharmam savadam avayoho jnana yagyena tenahamisha sayamiti me matihi. He who studies this sacred conversation worships me through the sacrifice of knowledge. Thus, my dear devotees, we all have to become spiritual swans, seeking the nectar of Hari Katha, glories of Lord Krishna, and sharing it with the world. Even in this world of noise, let our hearts beat to the rhythm of Krishna's flute. Hare Krishna. Now that we have taken so much and we have understood that we have to be like swan, sometimes people say, oh, what if, I have taken away so much time, and the only thing that I have done is I have lost all that time. Sometimes, yes, this kind of mentality is there, which reminds me of a nice incident. So, sometimes we realize that we are gaining weight, and the weight loss becomes one of the most known resolution at the end of the year. And this is exactly, oh, Hare Krishna Devi. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I just wanted to bring to your attention the
Yes.
time. I know when, we are all doing Shravan and Kirtan, we lose track of time.
Yes, I did lose track
I
of
just
time.
wanted to bring to your attention. Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So yeah, in this particular case, we have to look at things, and sometimes people, they do a diet for the whole month, and at the end of the month, they said, I've sacrificed so much, and they go and eat a lot. And what happens in this process, they have gained it. And so the only thing they lost was the month. So we should not be like that. We have to understand these teachings we have to instill in our life so that we transform ourselves. Hare Krishna is not to show others, but it is to, resolve within ourselves the greater practices. Hare Krishna Devi, would you like to share?
No, that's wonderful. You have actually summarized everything. I normally do some summarization towards the end. I just want to quickly add that in order to be blessed, to develop swan-like qualities, we have to make constant choices, choosing Krishna over popularity, choosing devotion over distraction, right? Of course, choosing Krishna over Krishna less talk. So very nicely you use the acronym SWAN. I really like, most people, I think they like to simplify reading from wisdom from the scriptures with the help of some acronyms. So especially Srila Prabhupada's purports, they really help everyone. So on especially Akshaya Tritiya today, I feel this was a very nice topic. We can filter our words, avoid prajalpa, materialistic things which are not helpful, really. We cannot see how to dovetail materialistic things in our environment. So we can make a conscious choice. And instead, we can engage more in Shravan and Kirtan and developing beautiful, meaningful, Krishna conscious relationships. And the talks which glorify the Lord. I really liked you touched on reading or hearing even a few verses from scriptures daily with reflection. And of course, Sadhu Sangha is always there. It's available. We have to make a choice. And in this way, we can cultivate a mindful speech and we can engage our gifts in devotion. So at this point, if anyone has any comments, any reflections, any questions, let's all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once, and that will give you some time to think about it, and you can raise your hand. And otherwise, if there are no comments, we will conclude the call. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare Hare.
Prabhuji, please go ahead and conclude the call.
Gadra Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki Janant Kori Vaishnav Vind ki jai, Nitaya Go Premanande, Hari Hari. Om Tat Sat. Have a wonderful day in Krishna consciousness. Akshaya Tritiya ki jai, Hare Krishna. Anant Kori Vaishnav Vind ki jai, Nitaya Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.